So, Mother's Day is coming up in the country I live in, and usually I would be playing the organ during the Mother's Day service. And no matter which church I play at, the Mother's Day ceremony is one where at some point during the service, someone will go up on the microphone and ask all the mothers in the church to stand. They do, and as I play some rousing hymn to celebrate moms, the person will continue reading a poem or some other words of celebration while children hand out roses around the church. It's beautiful. There was one church I played at where that took place. All moms, please stand. And while I played, it was interesting because over my playing, I could hear someone sobbing. And so I turned my head to see if I could pinpoint who was crying. And there was a woman seated in the pew who was slumped over, sobbing. Year after that, I played at the church again during the Mother's Day service. And again, they asked all the moms to stand. And again, the children handed out roses to all the women who were standing. And again, the woman was crying. Only this year, she was comforted by someone else. The following year, I played the organ at this church during Mother's Day weekend. Again, moms were asked to stand. Again, children went around the church to hand out roses as I played a celebratory hymn. And again, this woman was crying. Only this time she stood, but she was still in tears. I found out that this woman lost her only child to gun violence. He was the victim. And although he no longer is alive, this woman cries every year at church when moms are asked to stand. This situation with this woman reminded me that motherhood is nuance. That giving birth to a child who still lives to this day isn't the full definition of who a mother is. And it's time that we, yes, acknowledge the moms who gave birth to a biological child, because if one of my siblings didn't do so, I wouldn't be an aunt today. And we also need to be aware of the nuances of motherhood. For example, during Mother's Day, we should commemorate the foster moms, women who did not give birth to biological children, yet care for them in their homes. We need to commemorate the spiritual moms. These are individuals who give spiritual advice and hold the children of the church, the mosque, the temple close to them. Or if you don't have a central location where you share your spiritual beliefs, you might look up to someone who is kind of like the mother type for your spirituality. We need to acknowledge them. The auntie moms, of which I consider myself to be one, are those who mother the children that their siblings have given birth to. We need to celebrate them as well. We need to celebrate the godmothers, the grandmothers who are taking care of their grandchildren, either due to whatever reasons, but they've been called upon to be the primary guardian of their grandchildren. We need to acknowledge the moms of blended families, the moms of adopted children. We need to acknowledge the women who want to become moms, but are not able to carry a child full term, or cannot find a suitable partner, or are suffering from some explained form of infertility or some other reason. We need to acknowledge the moms who gave up a child for adoption and are now left wondering, what if? We need to acknowledge the moms whose children or child no longer lives. She always will consider herself a mother. And we need to give acknowledgement to moms separated from their child due to a whole sort of different reasons, whether that be incarceration, court order, and so on. See, I'm not trying to diminish the role of moms in the traditional sense, because as I said before, I wouldn't be an aunt if one of my siblings did not give birth to an amazing child that I get to mother in the way that I can, in addition to the mothering she receives from my sister. And I want us to note that this is a situation that requires compassion and awareness, that while we should celebrate moms, let's also be aware of the nuance of mothering. Mothers show up in so many different ways. Let's celebrate that.